It's the Stand Up Sit Down with special guest Kenneth Dolin and your host Dan Penna.
Thank you. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Dan Penna, and I gotta say, wow, Thanksgiving's this week. That's kind of exciting, I guess. I feel like Thanksgiving is the redheaded stepchild of holidays. Yeah, everyone loves Christmas and Halloween and April 20th as the big ones. Ask anyone how they feel about Thanksgiving, and they'll just say, it's okay. Anyone that says anything different is the president. Donald Trump has said his favorite holiday is Thanksgiving, which I guess makes a lot of sense because it's pretty much the original MAGA, or in that case, MAG. Just a bunch of white people taking shit from brown people and then forcing them out. Thanksgiving can be hard for a lot of people. Maybe you're far away from family. Maybe you're a native. Maybe you're my childhood friend Lorenzo. He only had 2 fingers, so we always knew which hand turkey was his in elementary school. He never got full credit. 40%, that's an F. Use your other hand, Lorenzo. Thanksgiving is very different in Los Angeles. You got tofurkey, dairy-free cauliflower mash, sugar-free low-carb pumpkin pie. Can you imagine if it was Angelinos at the first Thanksgiving? Natives would have killed those white people. Not with tomahawks, but with a handful of all-purpose flour. My gluten intolerance. Oh, am I getting puffy? I'm totally getting puffy right now. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a fantastic show for you. Photographer Kenneth Dolin is here, so whatever you do, do not go away. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Kenneth Dolin. Ken, how are you, man? Oh, we have a studio dog. He's very upset that you're wearing a bag.
I'm really upset right now.
Why are you so upset?
Pissed off.
Why are you pissed off,
No,
Ken?
I am angry right now. You told me this was a podcast. That is audio.
Yeah, it is. It is
You
a.
did not tell me this would be videotaped.
No.
You said audio.
We work in a business that has, a visual medium as well.
Fine. You know what? Fine.
You're beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm cool then. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
I'm so excited you're here.
Me too.
Yeah, I've been a fan of yours for a few years now.
I've been a fan of mine for many years as well.
Over 15 years now.
For 15 years, I've been a fan of myself as well. Yeah.
But it's like BC versus like AD. There's
continue to be a fan of mine after shooting with me.
Yeah, even first and foremost, yes.
Good, then we win.
The few amount of times that we've shot together, you've always given it 110%, and asked the same of me. You know?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, making me feel very comfortable too, which is pretty cool.
That's the challenge. I have to theoretically make you feel good. Although I will tell you something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is that while it's my job to make you feel good, I want you to come into my studio. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel supported. I want you to feel nurtured. I want you to feel honored and respected because you're paying me for your headshots. I actually want my clients to make me feel good too.
Oh yeah.
And
it's important.
Because I think a lot of people forget that it is a collaboration. Yeah, you're paying me. You're the boss, but we're collaborators. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I think they advocate a certain responsibility in their photo shoots. They show up and they're like, make me comfortable. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, yeah, but I want you to make me comfortable. And it doesn't mean that you have to work hard to make me comfortable. It means that I want you to show up with the same openness and effusive sense of respect and love that I give my clients to me. And it has nothing to do with ego. I find that when we both just sort of embrace each other, we do really, really well.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dan Penna here at the Stand Up Sit Down, sitting down with Kenneth Dolin. We were just going over vulnerability and stuff like that with photography.
What exactly got you into photography? I know that you already mentioned you didn't really like the line producing or just production side of the business, but what actually started your career as a photographer?
It was an accident. I had no intention of doing it. So I went to film school.
Okay.
And I was a development executive when I was really, really young, like 22. I was working for an Academy Award-winning actor.
Very cool.
Doing development. And that led to, they went into production on something, I got into line producing, and I had this beautifully successful career. I was very different then. I was actually, much to my discredit, just so cocky and arrogant because I was just, hey man, I'm 22, everyone's struggling, and look at me, I'm a big dude. So I had a production career, I sold something I wrote, everything was doing so beautifully, and it died. Just died. It was a slow death.
Yeah.
But there were a couple years where suddenly I wasn't getting the level of work I was used to getting. So I don't want to be pretentious or a name dropper, but I had worked for some really big directors, like world-renowned.
Yeah.
And suddenly I was getting calls from really small people and then not getting calls at all. I had sold something I wrote to a pretty famous TV producer, didn't get made, and I didn't sell anything else. And I felt like, wow, there's a blow to my identity, and it started to fall apart. I'm a very tenacious person, and I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't stop.
That's good. I mean, you can't in this town.
Well,
I mean, if you do, that's it. You're done. You might as well go back to, Idaho or wherever.
Yeah, but I have a different idea about that. I think there is a certain point where tenacity becomes a fool's errand. And when you won't give up on something to your own detriment because you're not recognizing that maybe that period of your life is over, or that maybe while you weren't miscast, you weren't perfectly cast.
Yeah.
So it died for me. And I lived without a penny of income for 3 years. I had made a lot of money. I went through my money. And I said, can I cuss on your show?
Yeah, absolutely. Go nuts. Shit,
What the
fuck.
fuck am I going to do? What
Yeah.
the fuck am I going to do? And I said, I've been a line producer. I've been an actor. I know everything about the business. I'm visual. To survive, I'll take some headshots of my friends. I'll charge them next to nothing. And I took a friend's headshot. A guy named Chris, who now lives in Colorado, was an actor at the time. And he had a great agent, he's a great looking dude. And his agent called me and said, these are great. Why don't we know about you? And I was very honest. I said, I've never done this before. That's my first headshot session.
Did you even know what kind of lens to use, or
I didn't know what an f-stop was. I didn't know what an aperture was. But I did have great intuition. And
That's cool.
And that's really still, I mean, now I know what an f-stop and an aperture is. I'm technically...
I hope so.
I do. I would not call myself a technical photographer. I am astute enough technically to be able to create what I want to create, but I'm not one of those guys that's all about technique.
You don't go into the mathematics.
I don't.
Yeah.
You know why? You don't write the great novel by knowing where to put the period and the comma. You write it by telling a great story.
What was your first camera?
I remember it's 16 years ago. I mean, it was the beginning of digital photography making its ascension. I didn't really shoot film. I've always shot Canon, but I really don't remember. I mean, I upgrade cameras every year, but ultimately, like, I have a friend, I shoot on the flagship Canon. Sometimes it's called the 1DX Mark II or whatever. And I have a 5D Mark IV. Who fucking cares? I have a friend that is a world-renowned photographer, shoots for Vanity Fair. My friend he does a lot of business people, just got flown up to Seattle to shoot Bill Gates.
Tough life as a photographer, huh?
Major magazine. He shoots with a 10-year-old Canon 5D Mark I, I think. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who fucking cares? If it works, it works.
Yeah.
There was a movement in filmmaking a number of years ago called Dogma 95.
Okay.
Started by Lars von Trier. He made a film called Breaking the Waves.
Okay.
Emily Watson won Best Actress for it. It was brilliant. and he inspired a lot of people. Lars von Trier is apparently just not a pleasant dude, but he Thomas, I think Winterhorn was one of the people who joined this Dogma 95 movement, and they said, we're going to make films with no artificial lighting. We're going to just shoot, and no set decorating.
Oh, wow.
If we're shooting in this place, we're going to just shoot in this place with the light that exists in video, back before people were shooting HD.
Wow.
There'll be no artificial music. If there's music in the room, there'll be music. When you first watched Breaking the Waves, for the first 5 minutes of the film, you were so struck by, like, I'm watching a home video. It didn't matter, because within 5 minutes you were so immersed in this beautiful, amazing, difficult story, how incredibly it was told, and this acting that won Emily Watson an Academy Award for Best Actor. You forgot about the technical stuff. When I find the love and you feel loved, you're going to give me love back. We're going to create this beautiful connection. And that's where the magic happens. It ain't about the lens. Because the lens can't make you comfortable. And an f-stop can't make you comfortable. And an f-stop cannot make your eyes shine. And, you know, in my little talk, I talk about this Khalil Gibran quote, beauty is not in the face, beauty is light in the heart. Even if you're a comedian and you're doing quirky stuff, you can't create that light in the heart coming on through technical proficiency. It's really about working with people and making them feel, I don't know, open, and understanding that everybody's different. And you have to be hugely intuitive, because everybody's going to require something different.
Yeah. For those of you watching that don't know what an f-stop is, it's a unit of measurement for aperture, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? No?
I have no idea. I've never heard of it.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dan Penna, sitting down right now with Kenneth Dolin, photographer extraordinaire. We were just talking about how the devil's kind of in the details.
Yeah, the God.
Yes. And what I guess would be some advice you could impart to budding photographers on how, because we've talked a lot about your approach in terms of your subject and stuff, but not everybody goes after portraits or actors or something. Some people go after landscapes. Like, if my mom is probably just my mom watching this, you know, what would you say to Jan Penna?
This,
no, she doesn't. She just skips to the end.
Yeah, she's watching something else, different podcast.
Yes.
You know, when I coach photographers, I talk about this a lot. There are a number of very well-regarded photographers coaches, and they make a decision that benefits them and their business and helps them monetize coaching, but it does not benefit their clients. Huh. And the decision they make is to teach you how to shoot like they shoot. And you leave one of their workshops and you can create the exact same shot they create.
It becomes very cookie cutter?
Yeah, I mean, the great irony is you walk out of there and you're like, look, I'm so competent, it looks just like X photographer, and it's so amazing, but you don't have a voice. So what I would tell any photographer is, you got to find your voice. You have to do something that is very true to you. And ultimately, I mean, at the beginning, you're going to look at stuff that inspires you and probably copy it. But ultimately, you have to find something that is uniquely yours. And, you know, I think any person that really stands out, whether it's an actor, a musician, they do something unique and new. And those are the people that really ascend.
Okay.
You know, Brando did something that we hadn't seen before, this level of like guttural realism, this level of like torment, torture, and he changed the nature of film acting. Film acting prior to Brando was essentially a little bit more presentational.
Oh, absolutely.
It was very much acting. And people said, who is this guy? He's mumbling, studio said, we're not going to hire this guy. But he changed it, and he invented. I don't know if, you know, it ultimately would have happened, but if we look at what Daniel Day-Lewis or Christian Bale or Meryl Streep does, it's all born of that moment. And so you gotta be bold enough to say, I'm gonna do something in my own voice. And even if at the beginning it won't be understood, because if it's special, it'll be the key to your ascension, and you cannot simply, as a photographer, copy other people's work. When I coach photographers, I tell them, I was talking earlier about people with this great technical proficiency, but I'll be like, you're not telling a story. And one of the concepts I go through with photographers I coach is this, a brief, because it's a long process I go through with them, but what I call it the 4 corners, which is that as a photographer, you're actually a storyteller, you're a filmmaker.
Okay.
And every image has to tell a complete story. It has to be an absolute revelation of that person, particularly, let's say we're talking about looks. Mm-hmm. So as a photographer, I'm not really a photographer. I am the technical director. That's me knowing whether I want to shoot at f2.0 or f11 and what kind of light I want to use to help tell a story. Is it bright? Is it a dark, cross-lit theatrical shot where I want to use, darkness and light on one side, darkness on the other? I'm the technical director. I'm also the actor's director. I'm going to get you to a point where you're doing something that is congruous with that light I'm using and with the technical thing I'm doing. I also, speaking of being congruous, I have to be the stylist. I have to make sure your hair and your makeup works for the look we're doing. If we're doing, particularly with, let's say we're doing cross-lit and dramatic dark on one side, and it's going to be very different. Mm-hmm. Your hair's really neat. Maybe it would be a little bit spiky, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have to make sure if you're wearing a bright floral Hawaiian shirt, well, that's not going to work. There's no congruity. You're going to be wearing something dark for that shot, something more intense. So I need to be, and then I need to be the location manager. I have to say what environment, what place helps me tell that story.
Yeah.
Am I going to shoot that in a field of flowers? I mean, I have photographers I coach that a guy's doing his quirky bye in a Hawaiian shirt, and he's against like a chain link barbed wire fence because they just went outside, or he's against a brick wall. I'm like, you didn't tell the story. Yeah. You advocated part of your responsibility being the location scout. You got to do it all. You got to tell a complete story, no different than a filmmaker would.
But since a lot of art is so subjective, could you also make the argument that you're trying to juxtapose the quirkiness with like the kind of rough, like chain link?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what they were trying to do, but there was no attempt at juxtaposition.
Gotcha.
There was simply not understanding the story
this looks
they were trying to tell.
Yeah.
They didn't. I don't think they even thought it looked cool. It's just like, oh, that's what I got.
Oh.
And you can't be arbitrary. There's an old expression that the devil is in the details. Mm-hmm. And I turn that around. I really believe this. I say this all the time with my clients. The God is in the details. And it can be a lowercase g. It's not a religious thing, but the highest power, the God, is in the details. That sense of like, hey, Dan is really being whatever. I mean, we don't do that. But
I do that all the time. I'm just really inhibited from the lens pointing at us right now.
Should we try it together?
Yeah. This will hold for one moment for the siren. I'm sure they're headed to a fire. No, that's a police car.
Is it? How can you tell?
Woo is.
Give me, right now, I'd like you to do a European siren. Go. Correct. Now I'd like you to do an Indonesian siren. Go. Correct. Now I would like you to do a siren, specifically not just India, but in southern Mumbai. Go.
Okay. Oh, hold on. I'm thinking northern Mumbai.
Correct. That is correct. Last one. Mm-hmm. I would like you to do the sound of a siren in Nepal.
Oh, that one's easy.
Correct.
It sounds like a struggling dolphin.
And now a Nepalese police radio, please. I think it's more of a...
Sorry, that was the one that I was... It sounds like Mark. Mark from Mark. Nanu.
Really nice. That's your career.
Nanu.
I'm a police siren impersonator.
I'm Dan Penna, and we've been back at the Stand Up Sit Down. This is
Kenneth
photographer Kenneth Dolin. We're about to wrap up the show.
Okay.
I just wanted to...
When do I get paid?
Well, folks, that's our show. Thank you. I wanted you to tell our audience how they can follow you. You're on Instagram.
I've been bad at social media because I haven't given a fuck, but I need to give more of a fuck.
Yeah.
So I now give a fuck.
He posts like 4 times a day.
I don't post. I've never posted. I have someone post for me because I don't like posting.
Okay.
But you can find me, my website is the best way to find me, KennethDolin.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can misspell Dolin, it'll come up either way, but it's D-O-L-I-N. If you spell An, it'll still come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, I think, is Kenneth Dolin Photography. Facebook is
That's
Kenneth...
your full name, though, right? Dolin's your middle name. Kenneth
Dolin Photography. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's for my dad.
Yeah, be kind to your service. Try the veal. I'll be here all week. But so Instagram, Kenneth Dolin Photography. Facebook, Kenneth Dolin Photography. I don't think we do anything else, to be honest with you.
You don't tweet? Yeah.
No, I took that down.
Oh.
I had an assistant tweeting, but I didn't dig it. I don't know why. It seemed like it was more toxic a little bit than the others. People. And I'm very hyper aware of the potential toxicity of social media. So, we post, my assistant posts photos and stuff, but, you can see what I do. The best way is just go to my website and shoot us an email if you want to reach out, or, if you want to book a session, you can do it right online. We make it real easy. You go to KennethDolin.com, click on book a session, boom.
Done.
It's yours.
Dunzo.
It's done. You get confirmation emails, you get a lot of motivational emails, and you talk to us before your shoot. So
that's so cool.
Make it fairly easy. Yeah.
Kenneth, thank you so much for coming on, man.
It's
I
fun.
really appreciate you. It's been such an honor.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Namaste, motherfucker. Namaste, motherfucker.
We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.